The case of 6ix9ine is quickly winding down to a potential close, and with it comes a lot of huge rappers reacting to the potential of him being released sooner than expected. And these reactions are priceless. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel.
Almost like he's getting off like he's the police. Like he is the police.
Do you want to win any of these items on the screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right back into the video. Snoop Dogg a snitch?
Just think about what you're saying.
That
Snoop, I wouldn't put that jacket on him.
He snitched.
He
snitched.
So as you may know, Snoop Dogg has been nothing but against Tekashi 6ix9ine ever since the snitching started, calling him a rat and has tried to humiliate him on social media. Well, ironically enough, Snoop Dogg has snitched himself. In 1998, Snoop Dogg was jumped by a group sent by his former record label Death Row Records because he signed with a new label. He then went to the police where this report was filed. Mr. Brodus was extremely cooperative during the incident and in fact said that he was thankful that the deputies had been there and he felt that the assault was intended as an act of intimidation. He told me that he felt he was in grave danger as a result of leaving Death Row Records and signing with his new label No Limits. Mr. Brodus also said that he felt Mr. Arnold was in danger as he is still under contract to Death Row Records. During the discussion, I said that I knew who killed Tupac Shakur. Mr. Brodus responded by saying that it was the man sitting next to Tupac. I asked if he meant 6ix9ine. He replied affirmatively. Mr. Brodus also said that he was upset that his bodyguard disappeared and did not assist him. So as you can see, Snoop Dogg was labeled as a snitch over 20 years ago, but with time, that label went away, and he is still very well respected in the rap community. Would this also apply to 6ix9ine as well? Since Snoop Dogg's snitching was forgotten, does that mean that 6ix9ine still has a chance? What do you think about Snoop Dogg snitching? Quite ironic, don't you think? Let me know in the comments down below. His sentence hearing.
6ix9ine. He's a popular rapper and a gang member who recently pled guilty to 9 felonies.
Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, do we know when exactly 6ix9ine is going to be released from prison? Now the answer to that is no, we don't. Though, when we may find out is quickly approaching. Because the last thing preventing 6ix9ine from his potential freedom is none other than his sentence hearing, which is now set for December 18th. This is significant because the original date of his sentencing wasn't until the new year in January, so clearly he's done something right in order to get it moved up, even by a few weeks. Of course, then the question becomes, so will he get released by court order at that point? Well, it is a possibility, a very strong possibility, and we'll be running through all the things that may happen to 6ix9ine in regards to his sentencing a little bit later. But without a doubt, he's hoping that he'll get freed for his time served and for his support in bringing down the 9 Treys and his former crew, with a legitimate reason for him to get released from prison on certain levels. However, it does need to be said early on that this does not mean that he will be released from prison right away, or a few weeks after the sentencing hearing. There are possibilities that may result in him getting forced to stay in prison for an extended period of time. Right now, there are a lot of balls up in the air, and it's nearly impossible to predict all that is going on and what will go on as the date of the sentencing comes closer. For 6ix9ine though, he's just glad to have a date for a sentencing hearing because it means he has something to look forward to. A date that ironically enough is 13 months after this whole series of odd and weird events started, the arrest and case of 6ix9ine. So before we discuss all the people talking about 6ix9ine's potential release and what his fate may be after release, we probably should talk about what got 6ix9ine into this mess in the first place. And to be clear, this was most definitely 6ix9ine's fault, and even he knows it. To fully understand this, we need to rewind to back before 6ix9ine was even a rapper. When he was growing up, he knew he wanted to be a part of the rap world, but he also knew that it would be a struggle to get into it on music alone. Not impossible as other rappers have shown, just difficult. So he decided to try and align himself with people who might be able to help him on a grand scale. But in a sign of things to come, he didn't just go to one person. He went to a whole group. A group called the 9 Treys. A group that is rather infamous in New York for very illegal enterprises that they have going on. They struck a deal with 6ix9ine. He would help financially via all the money he would potentially get from his music, and to his credit, he did make a lot of money in context. And in return, they would use their not inconsiderable influence to help him make his name in the rap community. The deal was made. Both sides lived up to their end of the bargain, and it was a match made in heaven, until it wasn't. Because 6ix9ine didn't just enjoy his partnership with the 9 Treys, he would put their relationship on blast in just about every song that he did, which in some ways I'm sure was flattering to the group, but to most of the rap community, they didn't believe 6ix9ine. They saw him as a fake flexer, and only shouting out their name so he could potentially pick up on their fame. However, one group of people did believe that 6ix9ine was a member of their group, the FBI, and seeing an opportunity, they decided to wiretap 6ix9ine's phone, as well as the phones and devices of those close to him, many of whom were members of the 9 Treys. They slowly built up their case against 6ix9ine, and then on November 18th, 2018, 6ix9ine and much of what was his former street crew were arrested by them on several charges, some of which were even felony counts, such as conspiracy, illegal enterprise, racketeering, and more. These charges were heavy and no joke, including 2 of the charges being able to carry life sentences. Not something you want if you're trying to make your name in the music industry. But fortunately for 6ix9ine, he got a lucky break. The FBI knew that while he was a 9 Trey, he wasn't on the best of terms with the group. In fact, he wasn't happy with parts of his arrangement with the group, to the extent that a few weeks before the FBI bust, he fired all of his street crew, which included his manager, all of whom were members of the 9 Treys. There was also recorded messages that had various members of the 9 Treys, including 6ix9ine's street crew, saying that they needed to teach 6ix9ine a lesson in order to put him in his place. Not exactly the best way to build a relationship, don't you think? So using this information and giving 6ix9ine a plea deal that would ensure his minimal jail time at the absolute worst, the FBI got 6ix9ine to become a snitch for them, one that would turn out to be instrumental in all sorts of cases. First and foremost, 6ix9ine was able to get basically all of his street crew convicted and sentenced via the information he had on them, and all he had to do was testify about events that were a part of public record, but just needed certain clarifications. This put many of his crew away for a litany of charges and times, including his former manager Shoddy, who got 2 of the worst charges of the bunch. The others got smaller charges, but ones that carried serious jail time depending on the judge's belief on the crime and the men themselves. 6ix9ine also helped deliver information on the 9 Treys as a whole, including outlining their whole command structure, as well as 6ix9ine's personal role in the whole thing. As noted, he was the bank, but it was a lot deeper than just that, and the court got to hear all of it. Finally, and to the chagrin of the rap community as a whole, 6ix9ine was able to get on the stand and put names to faces of people, as well as rat out various other people in the rap community who have had at least a few connections to the 9 Treys over the years, including famous rapper Jim Jones, and even Cardi B's name got dropped, though she's likely to be fine via the circumstances in which she got named. Regardless, given all that 6ix9ine has done, he has lived up to the plea agreement that he signed, and because of that, he has a chance to get out in the world and live his life once again, though the rap community has made it rather clear that what he left is not exactly what he will come back to. 6ix9ine versus the rap community.
If you a rat, I don't respect you. Straight up.
Easily one of the biggest things to come out of the 6ix9ine case has to do with the fact that 6ix9ine has been officially branded as a snitch, not just by rappers of various ages, but by the world at large. He ratted out everyone he could in order to get a lesser prison sentence, and because of that, he's now damaged goods in a certain way, but more on that later. In terms of the feelings of the rap community in general, there are a lot of rappers from the OGs to the new bloods that are not happy with what 6ix9ine has done, and the idea that he's going to be released soon leaves a very sour taste in their mouths. This may seem pretty petty at first, but in truth, it's more a question of loyalty above all else. Even when rappers are beefing and hurling the most serious of insults at one another, they'll never go and snitch on each other, because that's seen as the coward's way out in terms of the code of the street. So when a person snitches on another, especially if it's to the law, yeah, that person becomes an outcast in the worst way, and that's where 6ix9ine has ended up. Ever since his official plea deal agreement was revealed to the world at large, many rappers have been weighing in and saying that 6ix9ine is an outcast, or excommunicado, in the community, or various things like that. They're all but saying that if he tries to get back into rap, he's gonna have problems because there will be very little support for him. Granted, not everyone will be against him, but many will be, and that's a big problem, as many rappers, especially OGs, have influence that can be used to put down many attempts at him trying to rise up. By snitching, 6ix9ine has made many enemies in the rap community, and it'll be curious to see what happens if he does get out of jail and has to deal with the backlashes of his actions. Speaking of which, his release scenarios. There are many possible release scenarios for 6ix9ine. The best one, in his mind at least, is that once he gets to a sentencing hearing in December, that he will be released full on for his services to the FBI. However, there is a likely chance that he'll be put back in jail. How does that work exactly? He committed crimes, and as part of his plea deal, he had to accept a guilty charge on all of the charges that were put against him that were life sentence ones. Sure, he's not likely to get decades of jail time, but it's possible that he could get a few more years because of his crimes. And to be clear, he is guilty of those crimes. There's no doubt about it. It's more of a case where he was the one who broke and tried to get out of the predicament that he found himself in. And of course, there is one other way this could go: witness protection.
That's right, people. 6ix9ine is snitching on his gang, and he's going into witness protection.
This particular topic is one that many people are interested in, and not for the reasons you're thinking. Here's what's going on with this one. When 6ix9ine signed the plea deal agreement to rat out his crew in the 9 Treys, he knew, and the FBI knew, that he would be in serious danger, like life-threatening danger, if you get my drift. Despite already testifying against his crew and others, his testimony would likely still be needed. Not to mention, if his life was threatened by these people he ratted out, and you know they will do such things, his time on the outside may not be as long and as fruitful as he would like it to be. As such, the FBI added in the option of him getting witness protection should he feel that his life was in serious danger. This was a bold move, but a very honorable one on the part of the FBI, because they could have easily left him on his own once he got out of prison, but instead they wanted to at least give him an attempt at a normal life once he's out of it. Granted, witness protection is meant to be the happiest of lives, as you're basically rewritten into society on a major level. You'll never be who you were. You'll never not be able to use your original name outside of court appearances and other things of legal nature. And you won't be able to interact with your friends and family unless they're in the program with you. For 6ix9ine, that's a big hit. Not to mention he'd need major surgery in order to cover up his tattoos, and also need to dye his hair a more natural color. In essence, he'd be abandoning everything that made him 6ix9ine, and is forced to start over in the hopes that one day the 9 Trace would be completely wiped out by the FBI, and then he can move back to New York to continue his life, which could take a very long time if we're being completely honest here. And that's where the rub comes in, because a lot of sources close to 6ix9ine are saying that should he be released from prison early, like he would like to be, he is going to deny witness protection because he doesn't want to give up his life. He wants to continue being a rapper and will not give up his identity, even if it means putting his life at risk. Foolish, some would say. Stupid, a lot of people would say. Honorable that he wants to protect his identity at all costs and not lose himself in witness protection. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Either way, he seems very intent on doing this and trying to continue his life in music and in New York, despite him not exactly having a lot of friends on the outside now, and the rap community at large being against him. Plus, there's the fact that the 9 Trays will no doubt come after him in order to settle scores. To be fair, 6ix9ine is apparently going to take precaution for that. According to the same sources as before, he has some money that wasn't seized by the FBI, and he will use that money to hire 24-hour security that will be used to protect him and his loved ones. Granted, that will cost a lot of money in the long term, so if he's not able to get back on his feet in terms of rap music, he may have a problem of a very serious nature. The point is, 6ix9ine is rooted in the idea that he will return to rap in some glorious nature and make himself a star again, despite all the odds stacked against him. On one hand, it has happened before with various other rappers. None of them were snitches, and these odds seem pretty stacked, so that begs the final question. What happens when he gets released?
But will likely receive a reduced sentence for his cooperation. His sentencing was moved up and is now set for December 2019.
There are a lot of ways that 6ix9ine's release can play out, but let's focus on the one that 6ix9ine really hopes will happen. He gets back to his rap career without issue. Except there's one problem there. It won't be without issue. And I'm not even talking about how the rap community is against him. I'm talking about how there are multiple concert venues that are wary of bringing him on board for a show. A spokesperson for SOBs in New York City says venues were wary of associating with this controversial artist long before he was arrested. Even before Tekashi 6ix9ine had problems, he really had limited access to most venues. There was always fear that trouble brewed when associated with him. I'm not saying he didn't have access, but I'm saying it was limited way before any of this. New York isn't the only one to think this way. We have to look at every show that's booked in this building from not only the viability of it, but also the safety concerns. We have denied shows because of the safety concerns of the public. Remember, 6ix9ine will have people after him, so a safety concern is a real concern. It's also a business thing because a lot of people may not want to see 6ix9ine. Is it worth booking a guy that has a rap sheet that you're now associated with? And again, it's not just in one area, it's all over. Even Oregon won't go with 6ix9ine because they don't want to associate with someone who had this kind of thing happen. It's certainly up to him and his management how they want to go about that. I think it would be very difficult for 6ix9ine to thrive in the hip-hop community given the way that things have gone down. So either way you look at it, 6ix9ine may be in trouble if he tries to get back into the rap game without a hitch. Though most of the reactions for 6ix9ine have been negative from rappers and mostly everyone in the rap community, he has received a lot of support in the last 48 hours. For example, 50 Cent, an OG in the game, always supported 6ix9ine before the whole FBI incident. 50 bounced off 6ix9ine a lot on social media, and they both basically took over Instagram as a whole, as well as making music with the Tekashi 6ix9ine featuring in Casanova for the song and music video where 6ix9ine decided to throw shots at Chief Keef in the famous beef they had about a year ago. So ever since 6ix9ine was arrested and locked up in prison, 50 Cent has been making a docu-series of 6ix9ine. It's not clear what exactly the series will consist of, but the fact that 50 Cent continuously supports 6ix9ine is something to keep in mind. The deal that will save his life. Now you may be thinking, do you mean the plea deal will save his life? Well, yes and no.
Just had word that Tekashi 6ix9ine pleaded guilty, striking up a deal with the feds.
The plea deal will obviously save his life by not locking him up for life. But what I mean is that, as of the day of this video's release, 6ix9ine re-signed a record deal with this previous label for a lot of money.
Rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine reportedly signed a $10 million deal with his former label 10K Projects.
6ix9ine signed a $10 million deal with 10K record label, and the process was done through prison. Yes, Tekashi 6ix9ine made $10 million while locked up, potentially potentially facing life in prison. Now, as crazy as that sounds, that's really good news for 6ix9ine since he denied witness protection, meaning he would be out in the open with no protection from anyone and an easy target for retaliation from the 9 Treys. But thanks to this deal, he can easily afford a heavy amount of security. Now, if you keep up with our videos, you know that this is one of the questions that we asked when he denied witness protection. How will he pay for security if the FBI confiscated a good chunk of his earnings? Well, this answers our question. 6ix9ine now definitely knows he can trust his record label, since they could have arguably saved his life by being there for him while he's down and vulnerable. And there you have it, a look at 6ix9ine in his current situation. What do you think will come of him when he gets released? Will he bounce back in the rap industry? Will anyone care that he returns? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on King Trending.
A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.